Hey guys, welcome back for part 2 of our quarantine Roach Coach table project. If you followed along in part 1, we stripped it, went through the whole process of stripping it with the stripper, brushed it on with a brush. I did that directly after that night, got it stripped down. I'll let you take a look at that. I'll bring you in, show you that kind of stuff. And we'll go from there. But first, to start off, so there's been some changes in that we're not, due to the governor's orders, we're not allowed to do, we're not an essential business, so we're not going to be doing in-store appointments anymore. We're going to be focusing strictly online. I think it's a good move. It should have been done sooner. I think the problem is it's going to drag on, and then probably in a week and a half we'll go to a lockdown order, and then we'll go another 2 weeks. But for what it is, I think it's a good decision. We're going to adapt to it. We'll be posting tons of stuff. Get ready to be flooded. I went and took a bunch of pictures today of all the inventory we have. You'll still be able to buy. We'll still do free delivery. We'll still do the indefinite holds until you're ready for delivery. We still have gift certificates available, and we're just going to keep rolling with it. We're going to get through this thing together. We're going to keep doing what we do. Everybody keep washing your hands, social distancing. You see my shirt. Got a shout out to my guy Doug DeWitt for the social distancing shirt here. He's got his little bleach bottle. And you old punk rockers will know Social Distortion take off on one of their old t-shirts. Appreciate that, Doug. And one other thing, let's give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to all of our medical folks, nurses, doctors, pharmacists, CNAs, RNs, all you medical people, man. God bless you and thank you for what you're doing. Out there saving lives, risking your family's lives. We should all take a minute, say a little prayer for them every day. These guys are on the front lines fighting it, and hopefully, God willing, none of us will ever have to come face to face with them in their environment. So big shout out to all you medical folks. So let's get right to it. So what we're going to talk about this time is abrasives, sanding, taking the next step, step 2. We stripped. I'm going to bring you in real quick and show you what the stripper did. And that is, all we really want to do when you're stripping is get the finish off. You're not trying to go to bare wood. You're not trying to do anything like that. And you can see there's a couple little spots. See the little shininess of that's the finish. The finish is gone. That's all you want to do, because we can take that off. You can almost scratch that off. One pass with a sander is going to take that finish off. So this is fine. This was a quick strip. Took me about 15 minutes to knock this out. Look back over here. There's a couple other spots. Not a big deal. Just strip and go. Doesn't have to be a big process. Doesn't have to be a big I don't know if you may have had some experiences stripping furniture in the past. It was a big nightmare. Had to put it in a bag and do all this crazy stuff. Man, brush it on, scrape it off, move on, let it dry. So this is stripped. And so now, next step is going to be to sand. So a couple things on the sanding part. Well, let me go back just a second. So after I finished with the stripping, I took mineral spirits, just regular old mineral spirits. I poured some on the top, and I took a green Scotch-Brite pad. I buy this stuff by the roll on Amazon. It's really cheap. And cut the pieces I need. Took the mineral spirits, and I just scrubbed the stripper off, scrubbed it away, and let it be. I wiped it with a rag and let it dry. This is an abrasive, so it took some of the rest of the stuff off that maybe the stripper didn't get to. Just making it a little easy. Again, you're not trying to take it down to the bare wood. That's what the sander's for. You're just trying to get that top layer, that protective coat, off and out of the way. So as far as sanding goes, one of the biggest secrets I've discovered in the past few years is, number one, when you're working on furniture, you want to use a random orbital sander. That's one that spins and does kind of a thing like that. It has the round discs like this with the little holes in them. That's so the dust can escape. You change them out with Velcro. All right. This particular sander, this is the trick, is it is a variable speed. So right here, there's a little knob that I can scroll through from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I can control the speed. That way, and I never really run it wide open at 5, which is what most, if it's just a single speed sander, it's just going to be wide open or not. Or there's a little bit of, some have a little bit of control. I like this because I can set it, and I rarely run it over about 4 1/4, 4 1/2. That protects you from when you get to edges and you're trying to do stuff like this, which I really don't recommend, but in case you do, because you don't want to blow through the veneer. If you're going too fast and you're pushing too hard, you're going to blow through, and then you're going to have big problems because you're going to have to come back and paint that by hand, paint the grain. Takes forever. It's a huge pain, but it can be done. We do it all the time because we run across pieces that may be missing a chunk. We'll fill it with some filler, come back and grain paint it, whatever. Let's not create a problem. So that's the sander, variable speed. This one is a Makita, came from Home Depot. It was probably about 75, 80 bucks. Well worth the investment. I think there's a couple other models that you can get. Sandpaper. On furniture, I rarely ever use anything but 150 grit. All right, this is 150. 150 has enough teeth to knock this down pretty quickly and not too fast, and it leaves a smooth finish, not too smooth. And I had a question on the other video. Someone had used 320 or something along that line as too fine of a grit. Especially if you've got to come back and put stain on it. You cannot get this to a real, like a 320 grit finish, super smooth. The stain won't take. The wood closes up and won't accept it. So 150, that's all I use on taking it down. So you've got a question?
Yes, Mark wants to know if it's solid wood. I think you missed the last video.
Hey Mark, I think there's some veneer and some solid wood going on. This is veneer. This could be solid wood. Actually, after looking at it, it could be, but I'm going to treat it as if it's a veneer. That's a great question. It could be. I think these dovetails are probably veneer. This is probably solid. This may be a veneer. It's a mixture of all. So I'm going to treat it just like I would a piece with veneer. So again, 150, that's all you need. I'm gonna run the sander at almost maybe 3/4 speed, and I'm just gonna go over it, and I'm just gonna sand, and I'm gonna get a nice uniform color, that light wood color, and that's all I want to do to it. When I come back to put the finish on, the finish I put on, I'm using a lacquer finish, a sealer, and a lacquer top coat, which is a satin. It's about a 40 sheen. It will fill in most all that. This thing will be smooth as glass. After sanding with 150, putting toners on it, or putting the lacquer on it, it'll be nice and smooth. It's overkill to use anything else. 220, forget about it. Just stick to 150. In between my coats of lacquer, I'm going to use 320, and I'm just going to put the weight of my hand on it, just to kind of scuff the top. So that tells you how that's not doing you any good on this part of it. I'll use some steel wool when I do that. You'll see that. We'll go through that whole process. But for now, just wanted to fill you in and give you an idea what I'm going to do next. So tonight I'm going to sand this. I'll sand the top. I didn't strip the legs because they don't need it. I'll sand that by hand. I know these are solid. I'm not worried about blowing through any veneer. I'll sand those by hand, won't take much at all. And so that's where we'll move into part 3. And once we get done with the sanding part, we're home free. Then we're doing the fun stuff. We're putting color on it, we're putting the lacquer on it, and it'll start to all come together. And it'll be a pretty quick process. If I had to estimate how long this is going to take, I'm going to say probably about 3 hours max. And that's dragging it out over a few days, doing some work here, coming back the next day, doing a little more, putting it aside, that kind of thing. So this is a very simple process. But now I think you kind of, hopefully you get it with the sanding. And so that's where we're going to leave off. I'll get this thing sanded. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll put a sealer on it. I'll show you how it should look. It should be a uniform color, and we'll go from there. So remember, we've got at the shop no more appointments until April 17th. Order of the governor. That's cool. We're going to pivot, move around, do different things, and continue to operate through online. So be sure, if you're not following us, follow us. Facebook, Instagram. We'll be posting tons of pictures, and you can just kind of point, shoot me a message and say, hey, how much is that? I want that. What about this? We'll hold it for you. We'll do a delivery. We could probably do a pickup. We'll see how things go. And gift certificates online. So is there any more questions? Anybody have any questions?
People want to know if your shirt's for sale.
My shirt is my shirt for sale. Doug, you got to make some more shirts, man. Let me get with my guy and see. It is a cool shirt, man. I love it. I'll see what we can do about the shirts. Maybe we'll do some shirt giveaways. How about that? Should we give some away? Tune in tomorrow and we'll find out. I'll give him a call, see if he can round some up and make them for us, and maybe we'll do some giveaways, something fun like that. But in the meantime, social distancing, wash your hands, stay inside if you don't have to be outside. And that's one last thing I observed. I've been out in the yard with the kids, neighbors are all out in the yard. And one thing I noticed is that our kids are playing in the yard, the neighbors' kids are playing in the yard, down the street the kids are playing in the yard. And it kind of struck me today and made me think that our kids are looking at their old friends and they're just kind of like, they can't play together, but they see each other. And it's like, yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what are they thinking in their heads. It's like, yeah, we still live here. There's my friends. Hey, can't play with you. And it kind of struck me because it all goes back to, because the one thing that I miss the most about our business is you guys. So we can't play together either. So we're having to do this kind of thing. I miss those conversations, coming in, telling stories, talking history. My grandma used to have this table, or a customer says, what's the deal with this? And I explain it to them. That's what I miss most of all, is you guys. So hang in there with us, because we're going to ride this thing out, and we're going to prevail in the end. Let's just all keep sticking together. And that's it. So we will see you tomorrow for the big reveal on the sanding job.
And also, if they have any questions that they could be thinking about tonight for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Any questions about part 1, part 2, post them in the comments. I'll get to them. I'll answer them. Don't have much else to do. So now's the time to ask questions. And we'll see you soon. Thank y'all for watching.